There we go. How's that for audio? Here, let's. Wow, that was a rookie mistake. So, all right. So, anyways, Tennessee Dan coming in with the intro for Cole Sixler, and so we're just sitting here having a good Sunday evening. How's everybody doing? That got it. Yep. So tonight, tonight's going to be kind of a short show. Uh, Justin's not here with me, and so I'm just sitting here on the couch, chilling, getting the kids to bed, and talking to my lovely wife over here. So, how's everybody doing this evening? Today is April 15th. Hope everybody got their taxes in. Goodness.
Till tomorrow.
Hmm?
If not, I think you have till tomorrow.
Yeah, my wife says that if you don't have your taxes in today, that you might have till tomorrow. So I hope that's true for everybody, because if not, there's going to be a lot of people in some trouble. So, oh, Brent says the 17th. So you got till Tuesday to get your taxes in. So I hope that's anyway, still I hope everybody gets their taxes in and gets a nice fat refund check. That's always fun. Monday is apparently a federal holiday. So that would explain a thing or two. So tonight we were going to talk about pistols and stuff and have our all pistol show, but this whole week has just been a circus of that didn't go as planned. I did make it out to the Americans for America gun rally here in Arizona. It was a smaller turnout than I'd expected, but still good. Met some interesting people there. Camera friendly crowd. A lot of them were very camera shy, so didn't get the video that I was hoping to get. But I did meet some good people and talking to some people about some possible business endeavors. So yeah, I mean, it still turned out to be a great trip, and went out there and celebrated freedom and um, had a nice day. Just out in the park. It was good. So um, well, hopefully we'll have some people joining us here shortly. So we're going to be doing another hashtag one more sticker giveaway tonight. Still got a few of those left. So I'll be giving away some of these tonight. And yeah, I think we're just going to do Q&A tonight. How's that sound, Christina?
Sounds great.
So, in the way of politics this week, a a prominent gay rights lawyer burned himself to death in protest of global warming this week.
Why? Other than to get rid of one less idiot.
I don't know. Why do the people on the left do anything crazy like that? I don't know. I don't get it.
Doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense. Nothing. Actually, something does make sense, but it's pure. It's like pure evil. So I was watching a clip from Tucker Carlson, and he's talking about the fact that Bank of America is stopping. They're not going to lend money to anybody who is pro-gun. Basically, if you do any business with gun makers, gun manufacturers, gun sellers, then Bank of America is essentially going to cut you off. Which in some ways I'm just like, oh, okay, bye. But on the other hand, it's also a scary thing because he points out the Bank of America is one of the biggest banks. I think he said the second biggest bank in the country, holding, was it 10% of all deposits in the country, which that doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, if you figure there's about 350 million legal people here and another probably 50 million illegal people here with money, uh, or legal or non-citizens anyway. You figure there's about 400 million people here in the country. 10% of 400 million is still 40 million. That's a lot. And anyway, they're wielding power much like they're starting to do in China. And America is sadly going in the same direction where it you're not just based on your credit score, but you're also based on basically your social capital. What's your worth to society? And so if you're in China, you have this score like how useful you are to the government, basically. And if you're hanging around the wrong people or just doing what they deem the wrong things, then you're going to have a really low score. You might not be able to rent a place to live, get a loan for a car. Uh, Depending how far China takes this, you might not be able to buy food or clothes. Depending what they do with it. And we all know what a stellar record China has for human rights. Yeah. So. Mm-hmm. So that's a lovely thought.
The golden rule, right? He who has the gold makes the rules.
He who has the gold makes the rules. And as many people have pointed out, in this country, we have the finest government money can buy. So, I don't know, just a lot of scary things happening right now. So even if you're a troll and wanting to get on here and bash me or whatever, you should really be wary of this because, as Tucker pointed out, today it's gun control. Well, tomorrow, well, communists don't exactly have a high opinion of homosexuals either. And a lot of people in the left in our country, they're pro-gay and stuff, but also on the left, there's a lot of Muslims.
Mm.
Muslims don't take kindly to homosexual people.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of people on the right, especially if they're Christian, they don't necessarily care to be around homosexuals, but we don't go around killing them. But Muslims have been known to throw Christians and homosexuals off the tops of buildings. You know, walk up a 5-flight building, and they have been known to behead people and throw people off buildings and do all sorts of other unspeakable things. So, all right, I got somebody from YouTube here. Let's talk about why there's a fight between AK versus AR, bullpup versus AR. All right, so let's get into that. AK versus AR. Well, traditionally that came down to let's that goes back to the Cold War, because obviously the the M16A1 came out back in the Vietnam era, and it was America's go-to gun. It was our first real foray into polymer guns. It was a step away, especially for the Marine Corps, from the M14. And I've met several old Marine, now retired Marines, who said that when the Marines stepped away from the M14, that was one of the saddest days in the Corps' history, because when you reached out and touched somebody with that gun, they stopped touching others. And so the AK versus AR, I mean, that's the old capitalism versus communism debate. And a lot of people, they didn't like here in America, anything coming out of Russia was bad, better dead than red. Now, we're in the so-called post-Soviet world. We're in the Putin world now. Um, the AR is a more precision weapon. I'll give it that, but it's also a smaller bullet. And as one of my friends, Jared, likes to say, the AR is kind of like the prom queen, and the AK is more like the biker chick you can slap around a bit. And it's true, because over in the Middle East, there have been guys, people would ask, how do you clean your weapon? They're like, clean? What do you mean? We just tie knots and shoelaces, dip it in some 10W30, and run it through the barrel a couple of times. It's good to go. So, I mean, the AK was built with some tolerances for dirt and stuff uh, that the AR has just struggled to deal with, even if it in its current manifestation in the military with the M4 variation. It's better, but it's still a pain in the butt to clean, from what I understand, especially if you're in a dirty climate. And that being said, I still want one.
Why?
Why? Especially for me being a civilian, that's like the man version of Barbie, because you can trick it out, you can do what you want to, you can make it how you want, and there's so many parts out there. If you break something, it's easily replaceable. So, I mean, there's a certain logistic value to that too. It's kind of like Glocks. Not everybody loves Glock, but at the same time, if you break something on a Glock, there's a part out there to replace it. But like my first pistol ever that I owned was a Steyr Mannlicher M9 pistol. Steyr used to work for Glock back in the day, and he took his designs to the head of Glock Incorporated. They didn't see eye to eye on designs, and so Steyr took his designs to the Mannlicher Corporation, and they said, "Yeah, let's do this." And so anyway, Steyr Mannlicher was born, and that's also where we get the AUG rifle and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm digressing here, but the point is that if I had broken apart on my Steyr M9 pistol, I would have been hard pressed to repair it. And it was a great pistol, and it had some of the oddest sights I've ever seen, because the front sight was a triangle, and then the back sight was trapezoidal, and it was but for me, it really helped me figure out like sight picture for the first time, because I'd always had trouble with, just like the two dots in the back and the one up front, just getting those aligned. But for some reason, for me, that triangle and the trapezoid just worked out really well. And so, well, anyway, so, the AR versus AK thing, also here in America now in 2018, uh, if you're going to buy a semi-automatic rifle, another reason to get the AR is prevalence, of parts and ammo. And also the AKs, well, typically we're not allowed to have you're not allowed to have a full auto AK here in America. So the Bulgarian and other former Soviet bloc countries still producing AKs for America were having to make semi-auto variants for us. And well, the AK is traditionally a full auto gun, and they're getting tired of, apparently, at least right now, getting tired of selling to a small niche market here in America, where if you go to certain countries along the equator, I'm not going to say where, but we all know um, where they have child soldiers and such, you know, it's easier just to crank out production of full auto AKs as they were originally intended to be. And so, if you got an order for 100,000 AKs that are full auto versus maybe a run of 10,000 for America that's semi-auto, well, I mean, you're going to go with where the bulk production is. And so getting parts and other things like that here in America is getting harder and harder for the AK variants. Now, I mean, if you're going to shoot the target though, the bullet from the AK is actually going to penetrate and have a little more knockdown power, just because there's more lead behind it. But um, again, I mean, you can find all the ammo you want online, but I mean, just to walk into like Cabela's or something over here in our neck of the woods in the West Phoenix area, it's hard. You're going to be hard pressed to find a reasonable amount of AK ammo. Why the? All right, well, we'll get to Stephen on my YouTube channel is wanting to know, asking the question about why we had the PS90 on a couple weeks ago, and why that's not as popular as the NATO rounds, even though the Secret Service uses it. We'll get into that in just a minute. Anyway, so partly the reason they have an AR in America is not just because it's America's gun, but because of, again, prevalence of parts, prevalence of ammo, variations of ammo. So, you walk into a Honda lot and there's going to be 1,000 Honda Civics out there, and they're still making replacement parts for the older Honda Civics. So one consideration to get is, or when you're buying a weapon is, can I fix it? Are there parts out there? Mm-hmm. And then the other question Stephen had with this was bullpup versus the traditional front load magazine like we see on an AR-15, where you're loading the magazine in front of the trigger guard. I hear it's a preference point. If you look at rifles like the Tavor, or I can't remember the Chinese variation of that, whatever the Chinese army is using right now, the PLA, they're using a bullpup rifle in China right now, and you know, basically, I think it comes down to a matter of training. I prefer the the more AR style, AR or AK mag style, where you're loading in front of the trigger guard, as opposed to having to load and break down. Where you're having to load and break down in the stock back here behind your forearm and your armpit area. To me, it seems cumbersome, especially if you're in fatigues. You know, it seems awkward to me. Uh, our son has a bullpup style weapon, that a toy weapon that he plays with, and it's awkward to me. I don't like it. It's Oh, JT Harrell. Oh, that's fine. No worries. Um, so I don't like bullpups, but there are people that do. Obviously, the Steyr AUG is probably one of the better known bullpup designs that's out there in the world right now. Again, the Tavor, the Israel coming out of Israel, the Chinese PLA is using one. So I mean, they're out there, but I think they're awkward. But that's a matter of training, and so it's just, I don't know, not my choice. But then again, I'm not having to supply an entire military either, so n- not my problem. A couple weeks ago, yes, we did have the PS90 on the show, and why the 5.7 is not as popular as the NATO rounds, even though the Secret Service uses the 5.7. All right, well, let's look at that. First of all, the Secret Service is using the PS90 5.7 rounds, uh, but they're not going to war. They are basically a police entity, and so if they have what's deemed as armor piercing rounds, they're allowed to have that because they're not in a war situation. I mean, not to say that you know firefighting isn't combat, but as according to uh, the rules of war and stuff like that. All right, hold on. I gotta. All right, let's see. How are we getting close to China's way of doing things? Like you said. Oh, that has to do with business practices, JT. Um, in China, they're doing a system of social credit. So if you and I are obedient little workers, we're obedient little worker bees, and we're hanging out with the right people. We're doing good at work. We're doing what we're told exactly to do. Then we get a higher social credit score, which means it's not just Visa type credit, where you're charging money on a card, but it's like your social worth to society. And the way that Bank of America and Chase Bank and Citicorp are starting to wield their power is becoming more and more like China, in the fact that they are trying, it's a model for them. They want to be like China, because if the banks can wield power, well, we all know money is power, and so the banks here are trying to become more like the banks there, and use their power and influence for whatever they want to accomplish. Um, yeah, kind of like a JT says, so it's kind of like a gold star system, like when with kids in school. It is a gold star system, but it's a gold star system with deadly consequences, because if your social if your gold star score uh, goes down or gets too low, you might not be able to buy food or clothes. You won't, your credit score could be high, but if your social score is down, uh, you're going to be banned. You're not going to be able to go into certain restaurants. You're not going to be able to do a lot of activities that you like to do. and it could even potentially get you kicked out of whatever housing you're in, especially if you're in a communist country like China, where the party decides almost everything for your life. So it's just another way of wielding power, and the current way the banks are going is that they are trying to be like China. So that's how we're getting to be more like them. Anyway, so back to the bullets with the PS90 and the 5.7 rounds. So according to my understanding of NATO regulation is that you're not allowed to use a round that is deemed as armor piercing. Um, at least not directly against human individuals, which is why if you hear about armor piercing rounds coming out of like a Barrett Light 50 sniper rifle, something like that, it's being used against tanks typically or some other armored type vehicle, not against the men directly. Um, with the 5.7, it's depending on the rounds that you're shooting out of a PS90 or an FN 5.7 pistol, they may be deemed armor piercing rounds. And so that goes against the NATO thing, but because the Secret Service, they're protecting the president and a lot of other dignitaries, they, they're not in, military type combat, so they can use different stuff. Why it's not so popular is basically because you don't have militaries and ours included, us, Canada, anybody that signed the NATO contract that is buying ammunition that falls within those guidelines. You're not having millions and millions of rounds produced. It's the PS90 and the 5.7. That's a niche tool. That's a niche bullet. So it's not going to be as prevalent. Um, I mean, we all know what a Mercedes Benz is, but not everybody has one of those either. So it's to me, it's along the same line. Hey, Diane Alvarez, how are you tonight? Long time no see. I used to work with Diane at the Juvenile Corrections Facility in Eastern Arizona, and very good lady. Glad to know her. So, Diane, we're just doing all sorts of Q&A tonight, and I think it's time to give away a sticker. What do you think? Hashtag one more, because every law-abiding home needs one more gun. So, if you can name the juvenile corrections facility that I used to work at, then you can have a one more sticker. I'll give you a hint. It's in Graham County. You can Google this. You can cheat people. There's a yep. Okay, this is the sticker. So, what is the name of the juvenile detention facility in Graham County, Arizona? First one to get it gets the hashtag one more sticker tonight. No, 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 no. Eastern Arizona Regional Juvenile Detention Facility. Woo! Go Diane Alvarez. All right. That was kind of a a giveaway there. So, all right, Diane, send me a private message afterwards, and I'll mail this out this week so you can have your sticker. And okay, to be a little more fair here, let's give. Also, Diane, tell me, do you want blue or pink? I have, we have pink, and we have black and green. So, and I have another blue in here. So, tell me which one you want in your direct message. All right. So, to be fair, what is the name of the singer that I use for my intro music? What? Who sings the intro song to my show every week? He's from my hometown there in Englewood, Tennessee. I grew up with his mother. So if you can name the artist that I use for my intro music. All right, Diane wants the pink one. So here you go, Christina, if you'll hold that for Diane, please. All right. So who is the singer? If anybody else wants a chance at this tonight, who's the singer that I use for my intro music tonight and every night? That black and green does look real good, man. So if you can figure out the name of my intro artist, you can have that black and green sticker. We'll give you just a minute here, and oh, my kids are still awake apparently. Good night, kids. Here, I'll even play a song for you. Hey, Andrew Polly. All right, I got your brother on my asking questions on my YouTube page right now. So thanks for joining. All right, so we're doing a giveaway right now. If you can name the artist singing this song right now, it's the guy that I use for my intro music, then you can get a hashtag one more sticker tonight. All right. I would sing, but I would kill your ears. All right. So there's your name that tune for the evening. Diane just won a pink hashtag one more sticker. I'm giving away one more tonight, guys. So Cole Sitzler, very good, JT Harrell. All right. So, all right, JT, do you want that black and green one? All right, guys. Well, I'm going to cut this short tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, being my loyal followers here. Spread the word. Subscribe to my YouTube if you haven't already. I'm very close to getting that 100 mark. The reason I need the 100 mark is so that I can have youtube.com/Tennessee Dan. Right now, it's youtube.com/letters and numbers. And I would like to have that personalized tag so that I can really start focusing in and building my YouTube content. So please get that spread around so we can start really developing our online presence here. So Stephen Ihipali. Hey is first. Shouldn't that be something? All right, so my YouTube. All right, I'm going to put a link in. Right now, this is my YouTube. So if you will go there. Oh. Go there, subscribe, please. I would greatly appreciate it. And it would help me out. And eventually, as we grow, then we're going to up our game here really soon on our production values. Finally found some decent video editing software so we can really get this party started, and we're looking for some good things here in the coming months. I will have kind of a show outage in May coming up. I'm taking some night classes for some other stuff, and I got to spend some time studying for a massive test. So mid-May, kind of expect to not hear a whole lot from me, and then we should be back in business by Memorial Day, end of the month. So, JT Harrell says, "What part of Tennessee am I from?" I am from a little town called Englewood, Tennessee, and it is in the southeast corner, uh, where it's about an hour north of Chattanooga and an hour south of Knoxville. And it's tiny. I think on a good day, we might have 1,800 people living in that town, maybe. So the easier target to find is look for Athens, Tennessee, because that's the county seat. But yeah, I miss it back there, but Phoenix is home right now. So anyway, Tennessee Dan signing off. God bless America. Thank you all for watching. Spread the word. Subscribe also if you want to. If you care to, we have a Patreon link as well that I'll put up so that we can start generating some really fun content here. And anyway, take care of yourselves. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.